My claws dug into the command chair as the alarm screamed across my bridge. 40 years I had patrolled this dead stretch of space, and nothing had ever made that sound. Nothing. "Report," I snapped, my voice sharper than I intended. "My name is Admiral Carvin Oss, and I do not panic. I am Threxian, and we do not break in front of our crew." My science officer, a young female named Leary, stared at her console with wide eyes. Her fur stood on end. "Admiral, I am picking up a signal. It is growing stronger by the second." "A signal from where?" She swallowed hard. "From inside the dead corridor, sir." The dead corridor, the place no ship entered, the place where the humans had lived and died 400 years ago. Every child in the galactic Concord knew the stories. The humans had been a violent race, a sick race, a race that poisoned their own world and then vanished into silence. The Concord had sealed off their system and marked it cursed. Good riddance, most said. A wound the galaxy had healed from long ago. So why was something transmitting from that corridor now? "Put it on the speakers," I ordered. The sound filled my bridge. At first it was just noise, a crackle of static. Then the static cleared, and I heard something that made my tail freeze against my leg. Voices, human voices, speaking a language my computer immediately translated as Old Earth English. They were not panicked, they were not dying. They were talking to each other the way any healthy crew talks on a healthy ship. Calm, steady, confident. "This is not possible," my weapons officer whispered. His name was Dren, a veteran of 3 border wars. I had never seen him afraid before. "Admiral, the humans are gone. They have been gone for 4 centuries. "I know what I was taught," I said. "Leary, where is this signal coming from?" She pointed at the main view screen with a shaking hand. "There, sir. Bearing 0 by 0, 2,000 kilometers ahead of us. And sir, the signal is not just one source. It is getting closer." I stood up slowly. I felt my heart beating against my ribs. 40 years in this uniform, and I had never felt anything like this before. The stars on the view screen looked normal, empty, black, silent. Then the space in front of my ship began to move. It was not a ripple. It was not a flash. It was something else, something my eyes could not quite understand. The stars behind a certain patch of darkness seemed to slide sideways, as if reality itself was being folded like cloth. My science officer made a small sound in her throat. "Admiral, I am reading a vessel coming through. But the method of travel, sir, it is not slipspace. It is something else. Something we do not have a name for." "Shields up," I ordered. "All crew to battle stations, prepare weapons." The alarm shifted to a deeper tone as my crew moved with trained precision. Red lights washed over the bridge. I watched the view screen, and then I saw it. A ship emerged from the folded space. It was huge, far larger than my cruiser. It was long and white and clean, with smooth curves that made it look almost alive. And on its side, painted in simple colors, was a symbol I had only ever seen in old history files. A blue and green circle, wrapped in branches of a plant called olive. The symbol of the humans. "By the stars," Leary whispered. My comm officer, a quiet male named Brack, turned to me with his ears flat against his skull. "Admiral, the vessel is hailing us, on all frequencies, in perfect Concord standard." I took a breath, my mouth felt dry, put it through. The voice that filled my bridge was a female voice. Human, warm but firm. She spoke my language with an accent that was old, older than anything I had ever heard. The kind of accent that comes from learning a tongue from records rather than from living speakers. "Admiral of the Concord vessel, this is Captain Helena Pierce of the Earthship Perseverance. I am aware that your people believed us to be gone. I assure you we are not. We have come back and we wish to speak with your council. Please hold your fire. We mean you no harm." I stared at the screen. My crew stared at me. The weight of the moment pressed down on all of us. I had to choose. Fire on a ship that had just pierced reality in a way our best scientists called impossible, or trust a voice from a race we had long buried. "Captain Pierce," I said carefully, "your people were recorded as lost 400 years ago. How is this possible?" There was a pause. Then she spoke again, and her voice was kind, almost sad. "Admiral, we were never lost. We simply chose to be quiet for a while. We had much to learn, much to fix about ourselves. And now we have returned because the galaxy is in trouble and we cannot stand by any longer." My weapons officer hissed quietly, "Admiral, we cannot trust this. It could be a trick, a new enemy wearing an old mask." But I had been watching my sensor readings the whole time the human ship spoke. The numbers made no sense. The human vessel had more power in its core than my entire fleet combined. Its hull was made of a material my scanners could not even identify. It sat there in front of us, quiet and patient, and I understood something in that moment that cooled my blood. If this ship had wanted us dead, we would already be dead. We would never have seen it coming. "Captain Pierce," I said slowly, "what trouble do you speak of?" "The Krithar Dominion," she replied. "They are burning your colonies. They are pushing deeper into conquered space every day. You are losing this war, Admiral, and we know you are. We have been listening for a long time." I felt my crew freeze around me. The Krithar War was classified. The losses were classified. Only the highest members of the Conquered Council knew how bad things truly were. And yet this human captain spoke of it as if she had been reading our private reports over morning tea. "How do you know this?" I asked. "We have been listening to your galaxy for centuries," she said. "Every transmission, every signal, every cry for help that nobody answered. We know your pain, Admiral, and we did not come back to rule you. We came back because we remember what it felt like to be alone, and we will not let that happen to anyone else." The bridge was silent. Even the alarms had faded to a low hum. My crew looked at me, and I saw on their faces the same thing I felt in my own chest: wonder, fear, and something I had not expected: hope. "Captain Pierce," I said, forcing my voice to stay steady, "I do not have the authority to speak for the Council, but I will escort your ship to the nearest conquered station where you can meet our leaders in person. Is that acceptable?" "That is more than acceptable, Admiral. Thank you." I ended the transmission and sank back into my chair. My claws had left deep marks in the leather. I looked at my crew, and I saw that they were all waiting for me to say something, anything, to make sense of this. I could only say what I knew: stand down weapons, plot a course to Station Velheim, and send a priority message to the Council. Tell them that the humans have returned. Leary turned to me with her small voice trembling. "Sir, what does this mean for us, for the galaxy?" I watched the white ship turn slowly in space, following my vessel with an ease that seemed almost casual. I thought of 400 years of stories, 400 years of certainty, all of it being rewritten in a single moment by a calm female voice speaking an accent older than my grandmother. "I do not know," I told her honestly, "but I believe everything is about to change." Outside my view screen, the stars looked the same as they always had, but they were not the same. The galaxy had just grown larger, and somewhere behind me in the dead corridor that was no longer dead, I could feel something waking up, something old, something strong, something that had spent 4 centuries in silence and was now ready to speak. They thought we were a cautionary tale. I can hear it in every careful word the Admiral chose, every long pause before he spoke, every quick glance his crew made toward him when they thought our cameras were not watching. They look at our ship the way their ancestors looked at storms, with awe, with fear, with the quiet certainty that something terrible is about to happen. My name is Captain Helena Pierce, and I understand their fear. I have studied their records. I have read the lies the Conquered told its children about us. Brutish, violent, poisoned by our own hands. The kind of story parents tell to explain why certain parts of the galaxy are forbidden. I know why they are afraid. From their view, a dead race has just walked back into the room, and the room was better off without us. But they do not know what we became in the dark. I stand on the bridge of the Perseverance and watch the conquered cruiser lead us through slipspace toward their station. My first officer, a calm man named Edgar Holt, stands at my side. He has been with me for 9 years. He knows when to speak and when to let me think. Right now, he lets me think. The truth is, the conquered never knew what happened to us. They assumed we fell silent because we failed, because we burned out, because we could not handle the weight of becoming a space-faring people. They were half right. We did stumble. We did fall. 400 years ago, humanity was a young species reaching for the stars with shaking hands. We had just made our first slipspace jumps. We had just made contact with our first alien neighbors. The galaxy seemed full of promise. And then the conquered sent us a quiet message. A message they never told their own citizens about. A message that said we were not welcome, that we were to stay in our system, that if we tried to leave again, their fleets would be waiting. They did not want us. They feared what we might become. So they cut us off. They blocked our signals. They turned the galaxy's ears away from us, and for years we did not understand why. We called and nobody answered. We sent ships and they never came back. And slowly we realized the truth. We were alone. We had been locked out of the galactic community before we had even been given a chance to join it. That rejection nearly broke us. The early years were dark. We fought each other. We blamed each other. Some said we should push harder, break through the blockade, make the conquered listen. Others said we should accept our fate and stay home. The arguments grew loud. Then they grew worse. For a time, we nearly undid ourselves. But then something happened. A woman named Dr. Miriam Clark stood up at a council meeting and said something that changed everything. She said that if the galaxy would not have us, then we would have ourselves. We would build something better. We would take all the anger, all the hurt, all the wasted effort of fighting each other, and we would turn it into work, into study, into patience. We would become the kind of people the galaxy would someday be proud to welcome. And we did. For 300 years we worked. We unified our world not through force, but through purpose. We stopped fighting over borders and started fighting cancer and old age. We stopped building weapons and started building minds. We discovered physics that the conquered had never dreamed of, because we had to solve problems without their technology. We had to invent everything from scratch. We learned to fold space. We learned to shape matter at its deepest level. We learned to speak to each other mind to mind over vast distances. We built cities inside asteroids and gardens on the moons of Jupiter. We cured every disease we had ever known. We grew old together, and then we grew young again. And all the while we listened. The conquered had blocked our signals going out. They had not blocked the signals coming in. We heard everything, every war, every peace treaty, every cry for help that was ignored, every colony that was swallowed by a stronger neighbor. We watched the galaxy carefully, patiently, like a student watching a teacher they had grown to understand better than the teacher understood themselves. And now the Krithar Dominion is burning worlds and nobody can stop them. The conquered is losing. The smaller species are hiding. And we have decided, after a long, careful vote of every living human being, that the silence is over. We are going back out. Captain, Edgar says quietly, we are approaching Station Velheim. Admiral Oss is requesting docking coordinates. Give them what they need, I tell him, and prepare the diplomatic team. I want Dr. Owens and Ambassador Whitfield on the shuttle with me. Keep the ship on quiet alert. No visible weapons. Let them see us as guests, not as a threat. Yes, Captain. I watch the station come into view through the main window. It is beautiful in its way. A spinning wheel of metal and light, larger than any human structure of its era. Ships of many species move around it like fish around a reef. I can see their markings through my optical zoom. Threxian cruisers, Voltari freighters, small, nimble scout craft from the Pellerin Confederation. A whole galaxy of life, going about its business, unaware that a ghost has just arrived at its doorstep. I take a breath and smooth the front of my uniform. I am not nervous. I have trained for this moment for 20 years, but I am aware of how much depends on what happens in the next few hours, aware that every word I say will be measured, recorded, and repeated in history books for generations to come. "Captain," Edgar says, "the Concord Council has been informed of our arrival. They are sending senior representatives to meet you in person. Ambassador Thesha Corin will lead the reception." I nod. Thesha Corin. I have read her file. She is old, even by Threxian standards. She is wise, respected, and one of the few council members who voted against the human blockade 400 years ago. Her great-grandmother did not, but she has spent her life trying to correct the sins of her family line. I could not have asked for a better first meeting. "Take us in gently, Edgar, and remember what we agreed. No demonstrations of power, no threats. We are not here to make them fear us. We are here to help them whether they like it or not." "Understood, Captain." The shuttle ride to the station is short and quiet. I watch the Perseverance shrink behind us through the small window. She is a beautiful ship, my Perseverance. The first of her kind. The first ship humanity has sent beyond our system in 4 centuries. I feel a strange pride when I look at her. A pride not just for the ship, but for every engineer, every dreamer, every child who grew up hearing the stories of a galaxy that had once rejected us, and deciding that they would be part of the generation that went back anyway. The docking bay of Station Velheim is massive. As we land, I see rows of Concord Marines standing at attention, not aimed at us but present, a show of respect and caution at the same time. I understand. I would do the same in their place. The hatch opens. I step out, Edgar at my side, Dr. Owens and Ambassador Whitfield behind me. The air smells strange, foreign, a mix of spices and metals and something I cannot name. I breathe it in and smile. An old Threxian female stands at the center of the welcoming line. Her fur is silver with age. Her eyes are a soft gold. She wears robes of deep blue, the color of a conquered ambassador. She walks toward me with careful steps, supported lightly by a cane of polished wood. "Captain Pierce," she says in her own tongue, which my translator renders smoothly into English. "I am Thesha Corin. On behalf of the Galactic Concord, welcome. I have waited my entire life to say those words to a human, and I never truly believed I would get the chance." I bow slightly, a human gesture. I hope she understands it as respect. "Ambassador Corin, it is an honor to meet you. I know this meeting must feel strange, for my people as well. We have much to talk about." She looks at me for a long moment. Her gold eyes are kind but sharp. I have the sudden sense that she sees right through me. She sees my uniform, my ship, my clever words. And beneath all of it, she sees the truth of what we are. "Yes, Captain," she says softly. "We do. Come, let us walk together. There is a garden on the station where we can speak privately. I think you will find it peaceful." I follow her through the corridors of Station Velheim, past starring crew members of a dozen species. Some gasp when they see me, a human in the flesh walking among them like any other traveler. Children are pulled close by their parents. Some point, some whisper. I smile at each of them as I pass. I am not angry. I am not proud. I am just a visitor passing through. A stranger who has come home to a house she has never seen before. Behind me, my team follows in careful silence. Ahead of me, an old ambassador walks slowly with her cane. And all around us, a galaxy that had written us off 400 years ago is beginning, slowly, quietly, to wake up to the truth. We are back, and nothing will ever be the same. The name of the Krithar warlord leading the attack on the Vesca colony was Jacques Veltor. I say was because by the end of this story that name will not matter anymore. But at the beginning of it, he was one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. His fleet was the largest the Krithar had ever fielded. His personal command ship was the size of a small city. and he believed with the kind of certainty that only comes from never being told no, that nothing in the galaxy could stop him. I watched the attack from my command chair aboard the Perseverance. I watched through the eyes of our advanced scouts, small unmanned ships that had been sent ahead to gather information. I watched the Krithar warships pound the surface of Vesca with weapons designed to turn cities into glass. I watched Threxian families run through streets on fire. I watched conquered Marines fight and fall and fight again, holding ground they could not hold, for reasons they would not give up. And I made a decision. My first officer, Edgar, came to stand beside me. "Captain, the Conquered Council has formally requested our assistance. Ambassador Corrin has signed the request herself. They are asking for immediate intervention at Vesca." I nodded slowly. "How many civilians are still on the surface?" "Approximately 4 million, Captain. The evacuation ships could not reach them in time. The Krithar fleet blocked the orbital lanes 3 weeks ago." 4 million. I closed my eyes for a moment. I thought of the cities on Earth, the children in the schools, the old people in their gardens, the young couples holding hands in the parks. I thought of what it would feel like to look up at the sky and see a fleet of ships raining fire down on everything you loved. "Take us there," I said. "Alone. I do not want conquered vessels anywhere near us. This has to be our message and ours alone." "Yes, Captain." The Perseverance folded space. One moment we were hanging quietly near Station Velheim. The next moment we were above the colony world of Vesca, surrounded by 60 Krithar warships, each of them heavy with weapons. The largest ship in the galaxy, according to every conquered record, was the Krithar flagship Void Render. I could see it now on our main screen. A massive dark shape, bristling with gun ports, its hull marked with the victories of 100 worlds. "Captain," Edgar said, "the Krithar are hailing us. Warlord Jacques Veltor wishes to speak." "Put him on." The face that filled our screen was not a kind one. Jacques Veltor was a large creature, covered in dark gray plates of natural armor. His eyes were red and small. His mouth was wide and full of curved teeth. He looked at me with the casual interest of a creature looking at a meal. "Small ship," he said in his own language, which my translator carried into English. "I do not know your flag, I do not know your species. You have made a mistake by coming here. Surrender now and I will allow your crew to live as slaves. Resist and you will be erased." I looked at him for a long moment. I let the silence stretch. Then I spoke, and I spoke in his language, not mine. A small detail, but one I wanted him to notice. I had learned the Krithar tongue in my 3rd year at the academy. "Warlord Jacques Veltor, I am Captain Helena Pierce of the Earthship Perseverance. You are currently engaged in the bombardment of a civilian population. This is your one and only warning. Withdraw your fleet from Vesca. Leave conquered space. Return to your own territory. Do these things now and no harm will come to you or your crews." He stared at me, then he laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. "One ship," he said. "One small, pretty ship threatens my fleet. Human, your kind is not even a memory to us. Whatever you think you are mistaken. Prepare to be erased." He cut the transmission. "Captain," Edgar said quietly, "all Krithar vessels are charging weapons. 47,000 individual weapon signatures detected. They will fire within seconds. Shields at standby only. Do not raise them." He looked at me. "Captain." "Trust me, Edgar." The Krithar fleet opened fire. I watched on the main screen as thousands of plasma lances rushed toward my ship. Beams of pure energy, each one capable of splitting a small moon. They converged on the Perseverance from every direction. In any other situation, any other ship, it would have been the end. It was not the end. The beams reached the edge of our ship's influence field, a field our engineers had developed over 300 years of careful work. And they bent, every single one. They curved around us like water flowing around a smooth stone. Not a single beam touched our hull. The light show was beautiful in a strange way. Thousands of lines of glowing energy, curling past us into the empty dark of space behind, where they faded harmlessly into nothing. On my screen I could see the Krithar gunners. Their faces were confused. Their commanders were shouting. They fired again, and each time the result was the same. Nothing touched us. Nothing could touch us. "Captain," Edgar said. His voice was calm as always. "They are preparing to ram. The Void Render is moving toward us at full speed." "Good," I said. "That will make this easier." I opened the ship-wide comm, broadcasting my voice to every Krithar vessel in the fleet and into the minds of every Krithar officer. We had learned, long ago, how to speak directly to other minds over short distances. It was a gentle technology when used with permission. It was something else when used without. "Warlord Jacques Vel Tor," I said, and my voice rang in the head of every single one of his crew. "You were warned. You chose this. I want your own people to understand what is happening so that they know who to blame when they go home." The Void Render rushed toward us. I did not flinch. I did not even move. "Edgar," I said, "engage the dispersal protocol, all hostile vessels." Edgar pressed a single button on his console. What happened next is difficult to describe even now. The Perseverance did not fire weapons, not in the way any other ship in the galaxy understood weapons. We simply made a request of the universe, a very firm request. We asked that the Krithar warships, all 60 of them, no longer hold together as ships. The universe agreed. One by one across the battlefield the Krithar vessels came apart, not in fire, not in flame, not in any way that would be painful. The ships simply stopped being ships. Their hulls broke down into their smallest pieces. Their drive cores powered down in perfect silence. Every Krithar vessel in the fleet, all except the Void Render, became clouds of harmless drifting particles. Nothing exploded. Nothing burned. The crews felt nothing. One moment they were aboard their ships. The next moment the ships were simply gone from around them. But we did not erase the crews. Our technology was capable of that, but we chose not to. Instead, every Krithar crew member from every dissolved ship was gently moved, in an instant, to a large empty holding area aboard the Perseverance. Safe, breathing, confused, but alive. 4 minutes. That was how long it took us to neutralize the largest fleet the Krithar Dominion had ever assembled. 4 minutes. And not a single being had been harmed. Only one ship remained in front of us, the Void Render, the flagship of Warlord Jacques Vel Tor. His screen came back online, and this time his face was not smug. His eyes were wide. His plates of armor trembled slightly. His crew stood frozen behind him, too afraid to speak. "What are you?" he whispered. I looked at him calmly. "We are people, Warlord, just like you. Only we have had a very long time to think about what power is for, and we have decided that it is not for this. Not for burning children, not for glassing colonies, not for taking what does not belong to you." He tried to speak. No words came out. "You will now order every remaining Krithar force in conquered space to stand down. You will personally broadcast the order with your face and your voice to every Krithar vessel. You will then return to your home systems. You will not come back. If you do, we will meet again, and the meeting will not go as kindly." He nodded. He could not do anything else. His entire worldview had been broken. The galaxy had just introduced him to a new fact. There was something stronger than the Krithar Dominion, something much, much stronger, and it had decided to let him live. He made the broadcast. His crews obeyed. Across conquered space, Krithar fleets turned around and began to withdraw. The war that had been eating the galaxy for 6 years ended in practice in the space of an afternoon. "Captain," Edgar said softly, "the colony of Vesca reports incoming surface support. Our medical teams are already landing. Estimated survivor recovery is nearly complete." I let out a long breath I had not realized I was holding. "Good," I said. "Get me Ambassador Corrin. Tell her the war is over." Edgar smiled just a little. "Yes, Captain." I looked out at the empty space where the Krithar fleet had been. No wreckage, no bodies, just quiet stars, unbothered and patient. I thought about what we had done, not the power of it, the choice of it. 400 years ago, we would have destroyed that fleet without a second thought. We would have celebrated the fire. We would have held up the ashes as a trophy. But we are not the same people we were 400 years ago. We are something better. Something the galaxy did not expect, and something, I believe, that the galaxy now desperately needed. I stood at the window of the conquered council chamber and looked down at a world I had never been to before. Its name was Telerin Prime, the capital of the conquered, a world of white cities and green forests, of rivers that ran through the middle of towers, of floating gardens held up by gentle machines. It was, quite simply, one of the most beautiful places I had ever seen, and it was a world my people had never been invited to visit until today. Behind me, 27 representatives of the conquered council sat in a wide circle of carved stone. Threxians, Voltari, Pelurin, Keshari, a dozen other species I was still learning the names of. They had asked me to come here. They had asked me to stand before them and explain what had happened at Vesca. They had also asked me, in quieter voices, to explain what had happened 400 years ago. Ambassador Thesha Korin sat at the head of the circle. Her cane rested against her chair. Her gold eyes watched me with a mix of kindness and grief. I understood that look. I had seen it on the faces of old soldiers who had finally been asked to tell the truth about a war they had helped to lose. Captain Pierce, the council speaker said. He was a Voltari, a tall, slender creature with long fingers and a calm voice. Thank you for coming. We have many questions. We hope you will answer them honestly. I will, Speaker. I have nothing to hide. Then let us begin with the most difficult question first. Your technology. What you did at Vesca was beyond anything our scientists believed possible. How did your people develop such capability in only 400 years? I turned from the window and walked to the center of the circle. I looked at each of them in turn. Some of their faces were open, some were closed, some were afraid, all of them were listening. Speaker, with respect, the question itself is the answer. 400 years is not a short time. 400 years is long enough for a species to rebuild itself from almost nothing. My people did not develop this technology by accident. We developed it because we were left alone. We had no conquered standard technology to copy. We had no shortcuts. We had no allies to trade with. We had only each other, and a very long silence, and a deep need to understand the universe from its most basic rules. I paused. I let that settle. Every tool we use today, every piece of our ships, every medical device, every agricultural system, every educational method, all of it was built from first principles by human hands. We had to reinvent physics in some places. We had to invent entirely new branches of mathematics. We had to reshape our own minds, our own societies, our own bodies. It was not easy. It was not fast. It cost us more than I can describe. But yes, we did it. And now we stand here and you want to know how. The answer is simple. We had no choice, so we chose everything. A Threxian counselor leaned forward. Her name was Relis Van. I had read her file. She was a hardliner. She had been one of the loudest voices against letting us attend this meeting. Captain, you say you had no choice, but you did have a choice. You could have attacked the conquered 400 years ago. You could have tried to break through our blockade. You did not. Why? I looked at her directly. Because we would have lost, counselor. Our technology at that time was inferior to yours. Our numbers were small. Our experience in space was limited. Any attack we made would have been suicide, and we knew it. We chose survival. We chose patience. We chose to build instead of to burn. And now, she pressed, now that you are stronger than all of us combined, what do you choose now? The chamber grew very quiet. I understood what she was really asking. It was the question behind every face in the room. It was the question that every species in the galaxy was asking itself tonight. Now that the humans have returned, Now that they have power beyond anything we can match, what will they do with it? Counselor Van, I said gently, we choose the same thing we chose then. We choose to build. We choose not to rule. We choose to help where help is wanted and to stay away where it is not. We will not take territory. We will not demand tribute. We will not place ourselves above any species in this chamber. We are not kings, counselor. We are neighbors. She stared at me. I could not read her expression. Why? She finally asked. Why would a species with your power choose that? It makes no sense. Power seeks more power. It is the way of things. Is it? I asked softly. Is it really the way of things? Or is it just the way that has always been told to us until we believed it was the only way? I let my gaze move around the circle again. My people have known that path, counselor. We walked it for most of our history. We built empires. We fought wars. We crushed each other beneath our ambitions, and it nearly destroyed us. By the time we made it to space, we were already falling apart. The blockade you placed around us did not cause our pain. It only made us look in the mirror, and what we saw shamed us. I took a breath. We spent 300 years learning how to be a people, not a collection of nations, not a pile of ambitions, a people. We learned that power, when you accumulate it, poisons you. We learned that control, when you seek it, controls you in return. We learned that the only power worth having is the power to choose not to use power. And so, here we stand, with the strongest ships in the galaxy and no desire to rule anyone at all. Ambassador Corrin spoke for the first time. Her voice was soft but carried through the chamber. Captain Pierce, you have answered the easy questions. Now I must ask the hard one. Do you know what happened 400 years ago? Do you know why your people were cut off from the galaxy? The room held its breath. I saw several counselors stiffen. I saw others lower their eyes. I understood that this moment had been coming for a long time, not just for me, but for all of them. I do, Ambassador, I said. I have known for most of my life. Every human child is taught the truth in school. We know about the blockade. We know about the vote. We know about the sealed records, the classified transmissions, the quiet orders that kept us prisoners in our own system. Relly's Van's fur stood up. Those records are sealed by council authority. How do you have access to them? I almost smiled. I did not, because it would have been cruel. Counselor, my people learned to listen to your networks a very long time ago. We have been reading your sealed records for nearly 2 centuries, not because we were spying, because we wanted to understand. We wanted to know why we had been left to die. A murmur went through the chamber. And what did you find? Ambassador Corrin asked gently. We found what you already know, Ambassador. We found that a council, not unlike this one, met in secret 397 years ago. We found that they voted by a narrow margin to quarantine our species. We found the names of every counselor who voted yes and every counselor who voted no. We found the reasons they gave. They were afraid of us. They thought we were too aggressive, too fast, too different. They believed that cutting us off was the kindest choice, because destroying us outright felt worse. I paused. The silence in the chamber was thick enough to hold. And we found something else, Ambassador. We found that at least 4 of those counselors spent the rest of their lives trying to undo what they had done. We found letters. We found journals. We found apologies that never reached us. We found names that I will not speak here, because their descendants deserve the right to carry those names without public shame. Ambassador Corrin's eyes filled with water. She did not wipe it away. My great-grandmother was one of them, Captain. She voted yes. She spent the last 30 years of her life weeping about it. She made me promise on her deathbed that if the humans ever returned, I would be the first to welcome them. I have tried to keep that promise, badly and slowly, for most of my life. You have kept it well, Ambassador, I said softly, better than she could have hoped. Counselor Van was staring at the floor. Her shoulders had lowered slightly. I think, for the first time in the meeting, she truly understood what I was saying. Captain Pierce, the Voltari speaker said after a long moment. "What do you want from us? What reparations do you seek? What apology will settle the debt between our peoples?" I walked slowly back to the window. I looked out at the white cities of Telerin Prime, at the green forests and the rivers and the floating gardens, at a galaxy that had, for 400 years, gone on without us. "Speaker, I do not want reparations. I do not need apologies. They would not change what happened. They would not bring back the generations of my people who died believing they were unloved by the stars. They would not undo the years my grandmother spent, as a little girl, asking her mother why nobody in the sky wanted to be her friend." I turned back to face them. "What I want is simple. I want you to tell the truth to your own people, unseal the records, teach the history honestly. Let your children grow up knowing what was done so that they will never do it again. Let every species in the galaxy know that fear is not a reason to lock others away. That is the only reparation I will accept. Truth, nothing else." The speaker looked at me for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. "Captain Pierce, on behalf of this council, I agree. The records will be unsealed. The history will be taught. We will not hide what our ancestors did. You have my word and the word of this council." I bowed slightly, a human gesture. They were starting to understand it by now. "Thank you, Speaker. That is all I ask." The meeting continued for hours. We spoke of the Krithar withdrawal, of trade agreements, of student exchanges, of cultural visits, of all the small practical matters that come with rejoining a community one has long been absent from. But the heavy part, the hard part, the part that had sat like a stone in the middle of the room, was over. We had named it. We had faced it. We had set it down together. When the meeting ended, Ambassador Corin walked slowly to my side. She put a small, old hand on my arm. "Captain, will you do me the honor of walking with me in the garden before you return to your ship? An old Threxian and a young human. I think we have more to speak of. Quietly, without council ears." "It would be my honor, Ambassador." We walked together out of the chamber, and the galaxy, quietly, continued to turn. 1 year, that is how long it took for the galaxy to understand what had happened. 1 year of negotiations, of apologies, of long conversations between old enemies and older strangers. 1 year of my people slowly, carefully, introducing ourselves to a community that had spent 400 years pretending we did not exist. 1 year of building, not empires, but bridges. Small bridges at first, then larger ones, then, finally, permanent ones. The Krithar Dominion, without its fleet and without its warlord, fell apart in the way old things do when the nails holding them together are quietly removed. Its 7 largest provinces declared independence within 6 months. Each of them began the long, painful work of unlearning the culture of conquest that had defined them for centuries. Some did it well, some did it badly. All of them did it without human interference. We had made that clear from the start. We would not shape them. We would only prevent them from harming others. The rest was up to them. The conquered council, to its credit, kept its promise. The sealed records were opened within a month of that first meeting. The history books were rewritten. The schools began teaching honestly about the blockade of Earth, about the vote that had silenced us, about the shame the galaxy carried for 4 centuries without ever speaking its name. It was a difficult time for many species. Children came home from school asking their grandparents hard questions. Grandparents cried. Apologies were made, not to us, but within families, between generations, across the whole long length of conquered history. My ship, the Perseverance, remained the only human vessel in conquered space for the first 6 months. I had insisted on this. I wanted the galaxy to see us as patient, careful, respectful. I did not want a fleet of human ships rushing out all at once. That would have felt like an occupation, no matter our intentions. So for half a year, it was just me and my crew, traveling from world to world, meeting species after species, attending small dinners and large state functions, smiling, listening, learning. Only after that did the second ship arrive, then the third, then the fifth. Each one was a vessel of exploration or medicine or education, never of war. We sent teachers. We sent doctors. We sent artists and scientists and curious young people who had never seen a star that was not our own. They came in small numbers, carefully, like guests entering a home they had not been invited into for a very long time. And the Concord, slowly, began to open its doors. Today, exactly 1 year after the battle at Vesca, I stand on the observation deck of a new station. It is a joint station, half human, half Concord, built together with engineers from a dozen species working side by side. It orbits a small, unremarkable star in a region of space that used to be the border of the dead corridor. We named the station Oriana after a human poet who wrote, 300 years ago, about how the stars would one day welcome us back. The station is beautiful, not as grand as Tellerin Prime, not as old as Velheim, but it is ours, all of ours, a place where any species can come, anytime, for any reason. Scholars from the Pellerin Confederation study alongside human historians. Voltari traders negotiate with Keshari merchants in halls that were designed by both species together. Threxian children tour the human botanical gardens and marvel at plants that have no equivalent on their worlds. Human children, for the first time in 400 years, look out at a galaxy that includes them. I am not Captain Helena Pierce anymore. Well, technically I am, but I have stepped back from active command. Edgar Holt, now Captain Holt, runs the Perseverance with a calm hand. I have taken a new role, a role I never expected to have and one I still feel strange about. I am the first human ambassador to the Galactic Concord, a title that, a year ago, would have made me laugh. Now I wear it like a quiet honor. My office is on this station. It is small. I like it small. Big offices make people pretend to be important. I do not want to pretend. I want to work. On my desk today, there is a single document. It is a proposal signed by every member of the Concord Council and every elected leader on Earth. It proposes a permanent seat for humanity on the Council, a voting seat equal to any other, a seat that would give my people direct say in every galactic decision, forever. I have been asked to respond by the end of the day. I look at the document for a long time. I think about what it means. I think about what my ancestors, the ones who lived through the blockade, would have wanted. I think about what Dr. Miriam Clark, all those centuries ago, had said about building something better. I think about the 4 million civilians of Vesca who got to go home because of what we did. I think about the Krithar warlord who still lives in quiet exile somewhere in his home system, probably thinking about us every day. I think about what power does to those who hold it. I pick up my pen. I write my answer. With gratitude and respect, humanity must decline the offer of a permanent council seat. We believe that power once held grows heavy, and that the heaviest power is the kind that cannot be put down. We do not wish to sit on the council as a permanent member. Instead, we propose the following. Any species, including humanity, should be allowed to request council time when a matter of their concern requires it. Any species should be allowed to hold a rotating seat for a set term, earned by their contributions to the galactic community rather than given by birthright. Power should not be inherited. It should be borrowed, used well, and returned. I sign it, I seal it, I send it. I know the council will be surprised. I know some of them will try to convince me to change my mind. I know others will secretly be relieved. I know that what I have written today will shape the galaxy for 1,000 years. I accept that responsibility, and I accept it with a light heart. There is a soft knock at my door. Come in. A young Threxian female steps inside. She is maybe 8 years old by her people's calendar. Her fur is a soft brown. She wears a student uniform. She carries a data slate in her small hands. Her eyes are wide with wonder, but her back is straight with courage. She has practiced this. I can tell. Ambassador Pierce, she says carefully. My name is Lyra Vess. My father is Admiral Carvin Oss. I smile. I remember Admiral Oss. We have become friends somehow over this last year. A strange friendship, but a real one. I did not know he had a daughter. Hello, Lyra. It is very nice to meet you. My class is studying the new history, the true history. We are writing reports about what happened 400 years ago and what has happened this year. My teacher said that if I was brave enough, I could come and meet you in person. I was brave enough. I think. I am here. You are very brave, Lyra. Braver than most adults I know. How can I help you? She holds out her data slate with both hands. My teacher said that if I got a message from you, I could put it on the front of my report. Something short. Something that summed up what you think all of this has meant. For us and for you. For everyone. I take the data slate carefully. I look at her little face, so serious, so hopeful. I think about everything I could write. Every grand speech. Every wise saying. Every clever turn of phrase that would impress her teacher and look nice on a student report. Then I think about what a child actually needs to hear. What a galaxy actually needs to hear. What I would want every species, every generation, every mind that came after me to carry in their hearts when they thought of what happened when the humans came home. I take my pen, I write slowly, I sign my name beneath it. The galaxy does not need rulers. The galaxy needs neighbors. Be a good one. I hand the slate back to her. She reads it. Her eyes grow wider. She looks up at me. That is all. That is all, Lyra. That is everything. She nods slowly. She seems to understand, maybe better than most adults would. Children often do. Thank you, Ambassador Pierce. I will tell my father you said hello. Please do. Tell him I owe him a dinner. She smiles a small smile, bows in the human way that she has clearly been practicing, and hurries out of my office. I watch her go. I think she will do great things one day. Maybe she will be on the council. Maybe she will captain a ship. Maybe she will be a teacher and teach other children what we learned together in this strange, wonderful year. I stand up and walk to the window. Outside, the station hums quietly with the life of a dozen species. Ships dock and undock. Traders haggle. Students laugh. A group of human and Threxian children run past the window with a ball, shouting in 3 languages at once. I think of Earth. I think of the long silence. I think of the generations of my people who never saw this day. My grandmother, my great-grandfather, all the dreamers who looked up at the stars and wondered if anyone up there would ever want to know them. They would have loved this. They would have wept to see it. We were silent for a long time. We had to be. We had so much to learn. We learned that anger, untended, eats the angry one first. We learned that patience is not weakness. It is strength that has chosen to wait. We learned that power is only safe in the hands of those who do not want it. We learned that forgiveness does not forget. It simply refuses to be ruled by what it remembers. We learned that silence can be a gift when it is used to listen rather than to hide. And now we have come back, not as kings, not as conquerors, not even as heroes. We have come back as what we always should have been, neighbors, people among people, one voice in a long conversation that is only just beginning. The sun of this small star sets slowly outside my window. The station lights come on, soft and warm. Somewhere in the distance, a Pellerin ship plays its traditional evening music over the public channel. It is a beautiful song. I listen for a while. Then I smile, turn off my desk lamp, and walk out into the hallway.